noise!
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Truth and Rhythm, brought to you by funkinstuff.net. This is the interview show that gets deep in the pocket with contemporary music's foremost masters of the groove. I'm your host, Scott Dr. Jigs Goldfine, musicologist and author of Everything's on the One, the First Guide to Funk. If you don't have your copy, get on over to Amazon and pick one up. You'll be so glad you did. Whether you're watching the video version of this at funkinstuff.net or on YouTube, or listening to the audio-only podcast version from providers like iTunes and Spotify, as always, I thank you so much for your continued interest and support in the show. Speaking of which, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives. All kinds of goodies. You'll get early premieres, and it's all free, so make sure you sign up. Tell a friend, tell family. Also get your official Truth and Rhythm and Funk and Stuff gear at the funkinstuff.net store. Cool stuff like I'm wearing right here. Truth and Rhythm shirts. Show your support and love of the show and also the musicians and the music that they represent. Also want to give a shout out to the Funk Exhibition Center and Hall of Fame in Dayton, Ohio, of which I'm very proud to be an official funk ambassador. Go to thefunkcenter.org to learn more and keep the funk alive. And now, with all that, it's time to get on with the show. Enjoy. I'm pleased to welcome to the Truth and Rhythm Mothership drummer Don Juan Martin, also known as Tiger Martin. On stage and on record during the 1960s and 70s, he provided the deep pocket rhythms for funk and R&B legends like James Brown and the JBs, Marva Whitney, Hank Ballard, Bobby Bird, Bootsy Collins, and the Spinners. Through the years, some confusion and misinformation has circulated about who played what on particular JB and Bootsy tracks. And so it's wonderful to have Tiger here to help set the record straight. Tiger, how are you?
Thank you. Oh, man, I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for asking me, man.
So, big fan. I know I've heard you on some tracks, and some tracks maybe I wasn't knowing that I heard you, but we're looking forward to finding out, when you laid down those tracks.
Well, when we started playing for James, I recorded everything from Cold. The first record he had out was Cold Sweat when we got with him. And from Cold Sweat till the Big Payback, I recorded most of the stuff in between that time.
Wow.
I recorded Sex Machine, I Feel Good, Popcorn, Super Bad, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. I recorded a lot of stuff that they gave credit to Clyde and Jabbo, and I wasn't worried about who got credit for what, because at least I knew what I did, and we never got paid. James never paid us for recording. We had signed a contract with him when we first got with him, and he was supposed to give us 2 pennies for every record he sold. We never got a dime. And we recorded all the time. For a while, he was having records coming out just about every month or every 2 weeks. He was once King gave him his own label, he was going crazy, recording all the time.
Right.
And then when we first got with King Records, me, Bootsy, and Cat, we was with this guy named Charles Sperling. Charles Sperling was an A&R man for King Records, and we did all his recording. We was his rhythm section, and that's how James heard about us, because he kept coming in the studio, seeing us in the studio recording, And he kept asking, who are these guys, these little young guys playing, you know?
How how
And then
how, how did you meet Bootsy and Catfish?
well, me and Catfish started in a band together. Uh, Cat was a bass player. He wasn't a guitar player. He was a bass player. And Boosie wanted to be just like him. That's why Boosie started playing bass. So me and Cat was playing with a band called Maurice Gibson and the Mystics. And Maurice was a keyboard player and a guitar player. And we had this girl named Randy Crawford that sung Streetlight with the Crusader. She was our female singer in the band. And Cat played bass, and we had a saxophone player. So after the band broke up, me and Cat was trying to find a guitar player to play with us, and we could never find a guitar player. But his brother Boosie, their band broke up, so we got together one day because Cat was working at an ice cream plant. And one day we went down to the ice cream plant and talked about it. And Phelps decided to give Boosie his bass, and we took Boosie old raggedy bass and traded it in for a guitar for Cat. And that's how we started out, and we started a band called the Pacemakers. And then we just practiced and played at nightclubs. We weren't making that much money. When we first started out, we was making like $30 a piece a night, And
Were you born in Cincinnati?
yeah, I was born and raised in Cincinnati,
Uh-huh.
and Charles Sperling happened to come to a club we was playing at in Avondale, and he heard us playing, and he asked us to join him and record his records. So we recorded stuff with like him for him and Connie Austin and Junior McCann, stuff that he was producing. We did a lot of, and Peggy and Artie Sherman. We recorded a lot of them records. And if you look on King Records, you see all them artists that we recorded behind them. All Charles Sperling stuff. We recorded all his stuff. And then, like I said, James seen us, and he asked us to play behind Hank Ballard. So we quit playing with Charles, and we signed a contract to work for James, and we started playing for Hank. And we recorded his last album at King Record, but Hank kept leaving us. Every time we got paid, at the end of the night, we go back to the hotel. Hank Ballard would leave and take all the money with him and leave us at the hotel. So we would have to call James' manager, Mr. Bobbitt, and tell Mr. Bobbitt, like, we stranded. We ain't got no money. We at this hotel. Hank left us. So we had already recorded Marva Whitney album in the process. So Marva was in Augusta getting ready to gig, and we were somewhere down south. So they told us to meet Marva in Augusta and start playing behind her. So that's what we did. We started playing behind Marva.
And Tiger, this is about what year would you say?
69, around 69, going on to 70.
And about how old were you and Cat when you first started playing together?
Now, I didn't start playing drums till I was about 17 or 16. I don't know how. Cat was a couple years. I'm 70 years old right now. So Cat had to be at least 3 or 4 years older than me. And I was like 2 years older than Boosie, So it was like that. Cat was the oldest. So we relied on Cat being the band leader and taking care of all the business for us. And so once we started recording we recorded for Hank, then we recorded for Marva. We went on tour with Marva. Then every time James had a review show, we was the opening act. Marva Whitney, and we called ourselves the Blackanizer Band. So we was playing behind Marva and Hank Ballard. We called ourselves the Blackanizers. And so we used to, when James played at the Apollo or wherever he played at, we was the opening act for him, at a review show. And so after Marva quit, after we played at the Apollo one night, she quit and went back to Kansas City. And we went back to Cincinnati. We just playing in nightclubs again still, as the Pacemakers. And one night, this guy named Petey, I can't stand Petey's last name, but he was James Brown Yes Man. He did everything James asked him to do. And he came to the club one night and told us that they wanted us to come where he was at. And I think we had to fly on his private jet to Columbus, Georgia, or Columbus, South Carolina, one or two. and he had us walking down the middle of the aisle of the auditorium, and all the people were still there waiting for them to come on stage. But the band, Major and them was in another dressing room saying that they weren't going to play for James until he paid them some more money. So James brought us in and had us walking down the middle aisle, letting people know that we was late. Like he was trying to let them show that the band was late. And we wasn't late, but he brought us in anyway. So we went to his dressing room and he told us, y'all know most of my songs. Y'all done recorded some of my stuff. Just follow me and I'm going to count them off and y'all follow. I said, so we did. And then he couldn't think of my name on the recording. And he kept saying, in the jungle, brother, in the jungle. And he kept pointing at me. And I'm like looking around like, who is he talking to? And he finally said, in the jungle. And Phil said, he talking to you. So he made me start playing. But before then, I didn't know who he was talking about. He was doing this. 25, 50, 75, 100. I'm like, what is this? He was fanning me. He fanned me $125 because I wasn't paying attention. The person.
Wow.
So that's how we got with James, because Marva quit and she went back to Kansas City, and Major and them, they decided they didn't want to play with James no more. They started their own band, Major and the Kingsmen. So they left James. And then we started doing a lot of recording with James. We traveled and did a lot of stuff. And then
What was
eventually I got
what was the lineup at that moment? The
his
band.
songs.
What was the lineup of the band at that moment? Who was in?
Well, we would play, the band would start playing instrumentals.
No, I
And
mean
then,
personnel wise, it was you and Catfish and Bootsy.
well, you talking about the whole JB band?
Yeah.
With the whole JB band, when we got with James Brown as the JB, it was, we had Clayton Gunnels on trumpet. We had this dude named Hassan on trumpet. We picked him up in Cleveland, Ohio, when we was playing with Martha Whitney at a club. And we had Catfish on guitar, Bootsy on bass, me on drums, and there used to be a guy named Robert McCullough on saxophone, but Robert quit the band and went. I think he moved to Milwaukee with his wife and kids. And so the band with it was Jabbo, St. Clair, Johnny Greer, and a guy named Cheese Martin. Them was the guys that was in the band when we joined it. And then James didn't know what to call us. So like I said, the first night we played with him, he didn't know what to call us. So he told everybody the JBs, ladies and gentlemen, the JBs. And that's how we became the JBs. Because he didn't know what to call us. Because we was called the Blackanizers. And I don't think he wanted to call us that. So he just changed the name to the JBs.
And where was the first gig that you played?
I think it was in Columbia, Georgia, or Columbia, South Carolina. I know it was Columbus something, but it's been so long ago I can't remember. But that's
Yeah.
where we did our first recording too. We did our first recording with James at that particular time, and you can hear it on the show when he say "In the Jungle, brother." He ain't never said that no more in no other record ever. But he didn't know my name. He was gonna try to call me Tiger, but he couldn't remember Tiger, so he said "In the Jungle." I know it's a jungle name, so he said "In the Jungle, brother." So that's how we got with James. If it wasn't for Charles Sperling, we would have never got with James Brown.
What was going through your mind when you were realizing, you were on stage playing with James Brown all of a sudden?
Most people would have been impressed with him, but we had been around him so long at King Studio, we was just comfortable with him. He always talked to us, I guess like a father or something, but half the time we couldn't understand what he was saying. And he'd be mumbling and stuff. He used to try to tell me how to play drums, and he would tell me to get up off the drum and he'd do something with his hands and play. And I would say, yeah, I got it. But I didn't have it. So I used to fake a lot of stuff, when I played with him. We didn't have no sheet music in front of us, none of that kind of nonsense. It was just off the top of our head when we recorded, And that's why he recorded everything right there in the studio. So when we went on tour, the whole band, whatever we sound like in the studio, he wanted us to sound like that on stage. So he did everything in the studio like that. Everybody, the horn section, the rhythm section, he would have everybody there, Bobby Bird and everybody recording right there in the studio, so it would sound like that when we go on stage. Which we did. We were the best band he ever had. You know,
Yeah, I can't argue that.
we made more recording. We made him more money than any band he ever had. You know, we changed his whole style of playing. We changed his whole style of music because James was doing a lot of shuffle and blues when we got with him. He wasn't doing no syncopation and funk stuff. He got that funk stuff from us, but he got credit for it, because it was his thing,
Did you realize at the time how innovative the music was?
Not really, we was just, I guess, blessed going through the changes. We were just playing. We was young and we was just enjoying playing music, and we had really never been nowhere in Cincinnati. So when we started traveling, it was really a treat. We was getting paid for something that we enjoyed doing. So we never really thought about what we was doing. I mean, it was just, we recorded and we kept recording and recording. Sometimes we'd be on tour out of town and he called at the end of the gig at night. We think we can go back to the hotel. He would take us to a studio and record that night. And we record to 3 or 4, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Bo- Bootsy talks about how James taught him the one,
No,
and
that's a lie.
and that he brought the one to George Clinton. So, tell us about that.
We already was playing. James didn't know. We was already playing. Like I said, James didn't write none of the music. The band played most of the stuff, and he took credit for it. And a lot of stuff Bootsy, I hate to say this, but a lot of stuff Bootsy said is a lie. Bootsy, he can't even remember the truth. He been lying so much, he can't even remember the truth anymore. That's what killed me about him. He been lying so much, and this is the truth. Like I told you, Frank Waddy never recorded nothing. Only song he ever recorded was the Grunt. And that's when I got fired and got sent to Augusta, Georgia to play with this guy named Leon Austin. And they hired Frank to take my place. And he recorded one song. He never recorded none of Bootsy. If you look on Bootsy album, he didn't record none of the songs on Bootsy album. And when I recorded them songs on Bootsy album, he took my name off the album and put Casper the Friendly Ghost as his drummer. I quit Bootsy and went to Detroit and started playing with the Spinners with Felipe Wynn. Because Felipe Wynn was our lead singer in the Pacemakers. And when he left the band and moved to Detroit and got with the Spinners. So when I quit the band, Catfish had went to Detroit with Bootsy and them and told me that he had ran into Felipe, and Felipe was in Detroit singing with the Spinners. And he wanted me to call him. So I called Felipe, and he asked me, did I want to come up there and audition for the Spinners up in Detroit? And I went up there, and they was right next to one of the Motown studios at Ziggy Johnson dance studio. And I took my drums into the studio with them, and I played with records. They had some records they wanted me to play on. And I auditioned with records, not a band. And they said, well, okay, we like you. We want you to join the band, but they didn't have no gigs. So I went back to Cincinnati, and I got a band together and came back to Detroit and started playing with this woman named Laura Lee. And the Spinners got us hooked up with this woman named Laura Lee. And she had a record out called Since I Fell For You and Woman Love Right. And she was on tour with Al Green, the Bar-Kays, and Rufus Thomas. And that's what I did for the whole year before I got with the Spinners. I toured with Laura Lee when I lived up in Detroit. And then the Spinners hooked up with Aretha Franklin to be her opening act. And we started playing up in New York and stuff with Aretha, different colleges, black colleges and stuff. And Aretha got the Spinners with Atlantic Records. And Atlantic Records hooked the Spinners up with Tom Bell. And that's how they came out with Could it be I'm falling in love?
All
I'll
those
be
hits.
around
Yeah.
and saving and stuff. Well, I was touring with them when they had all them records out. I toured with the Temptation, the OJs, and Bloodstone, places like with the Spinners because they was opening act. And we did things like Midnight Special, Mike Douglas, Merv Griffith, you know, and uh, Earl Earl James Jones, the actor Earl.
You got it
He had a
right.
TV show.
Earl
Yeah, he had
James
a TV
Jones.
show. Yeah, he had a TV show in L.A. and we played on his show. And I played behind Odetta, an old woman, a folk singer. They had me play behind her and this little boy named Little Dion when I was out in L.A. with them. So I stayed with the Spinner for about 5 years, and then I went back to Cincinnati and I hooked up back with Bootsy and them. And
Can I slow your roll right here to go back a little bit and talk a few questions?
okay,
Yeah. I don't. I hate to interrupt your train of thought because you're really on a roll, but I want to ask a few questions too. Um, so why? What happened that you got fired from the JBs?
for not paying attention, not paying attention. You know, I used to always look at Jabbo, like the songs that I recorded with James. Sometimes James would let Jabbo play the songs instead of me, and I would look at Jabbo trying to play them, and I'd be laughing at him playing them. You know, I'm young, I'm stupid, I ain't got no sense, you know. And I'm looking at him, I'm laughing, and I'm turning around, James Brown doing this to me because I'm not paying attention. So they let me go. But I had hooked up with this guy named Leon Austin that was James Brown personal barber and his friend that taught him how to play piano a little bit. So they sent me to they didn't send me to Augusta, Georgia. I was recording some songs behind Leon at King Record for James Brown. And Leon liked the way I played. He asked me, did I want to come to Augusta, Georgia? And I said, yeah. I went down there and stayed with him for a couple of months. But then James' daddy told me to go back to Cincinnati. One day I was sitting in a barbershop at Leon's barbershop, and James' daddy came in the barbershop and told me to come walk with him. You know, like, come on, boy, we'll go walking with me. So I went walking with him. And as we was walking, he was telling me I should go back to Cincinnati. And I'm like, why? You know, he said, I just think you should go back home. So I was on my way. And I was telling my cousin, because I had brought my cousin down there with me. And my cousin said, well, come on, let's go back home then, you know. So I was on my way to I was on my way to go to the bus station, and I noticed that James Brown and Leon was following us in a limo on the next street over. And so eventually, when I got down to the post office, James and Leon jumped out the car on me and asked me, uh, why did I want to go back to Cincinnati? And James Brown kept saying, ain't nothing in Cincinnati. What you going back to Cincinnati for? But I didn't know that James Brown wanted me back in the band. But he didn't want Leon to know that he wanted me back in the band. So anyway, the short story, I got back to Cincinnati. Bootsy came over to my apartment and told me they wanted me back in the band. So I got back in the band. And maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, we went to Europe. That's when we did all that stuff like Live in Paris in '71. Stuff
Yeah, I
like
got
that.
that here actually. I was going to show the.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
And we
like
did
one
a
of the
lot of
greatest live
recording.
recordings ever, Tiger.
Yeah. That was the best he ever had. I tell you, we was the best band James ever had, man. He was the best. The JB was the best band he had ever had.
That CD is fire. It's fire.
We recorded in uh, Barcelona. I mean, we recorded the whole time we was over in Europe. Every time we played live, we recorded. But
You
that's the
know,
one CD he put out.
I think it's also one of the best spotlights on how good Catfish was on that guitar too.
Yeah, well, you know, Cat knew how to play behind. He had played behind singers before. You know, back in the day with doo-wops. He knew how to play chords and stuff like that. But really, Cat was he was a bad bass player, man. I mean, Cat could play this. He could play the strings off of bass. And Bootsy couldn't even touch Catfish on bass.
Wow.
You know, I'm gonna tell you a story about this. So Catfish got, I don't, well, Cat was at the picture for a minute. So we end up, I'm still playing with Bootsy and them. We still going up in United and recording in Detroit. And we hired this guy named Ricky Evans. Ricky Evans was a guitar player. He was bad. He was a young boy from Cincinnati. He could play. He came to rehearsal with a Mutron. And Bootsy was like, wow, what is that, man? And Ricky was teaching him what a Mutron was. And that's where Bootsy got his style, his sound of his bass from a Mutron, from Ricky Evans, you know? I mean, Bootsy was a good bass player, but he wasn't all that. I mean, he an average bass player, just like I'm an average drummer. He's an average bass player. You know what I'm saying? Nothing really special. Only thing that was special about him was the Mutron. And the only song, and think about this, the only song that Bootsy had out there was a hit was I'd Rather Be With You. He didn't write that song. Mudbone, Gary Cooper wrote that song. Bootsy didn't write that song. And Bootsy ain't wrote it. I mean, he might have been on some songs with George. He got credit for it. But he only had one hit record, and that was I'd Rather Be With You. And he recorded a whole bunch of albums,
That was the
and
first
I'm on
one.
all his albums. Oh, wait a minute, let me show you this. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry I had to go. But listen, you know, this is funny. When I quit the rubber band, Bootsy was always upset with me about that because he wanted me to be in the band. But this is what happened. When we was in Detroit and we was at this Ragley Motel, the Funkadelics, George, Bootsy, the person that wasn't there was Catfish. So we went to get something to eat. So they bought some sandwiches, and they gave me a sandwich that somebody had bit out. It was a liver sandwich. They had wrapped it back up and bit off of it and gave it to me. But I took it personal, like, oh, wow, they done gave me a sandwich and bit off. They laughing, you know. So my feelings was hurt. So me and Bernie Warrell walked up to the Red Barn restaurant up the street from the studio and the hotel where we staying at. And I went and got me something to eat. So the whole time that night, I'm thinking about how to get back at them. So I said, oh, I know how to get back at them. I'm going to wait till we record. So we recording, and I'm playing. And every time Bootsy wanted me to hit it on the 1, I hit it on the 2. Instead of 1, I hit 2. So Bootsy kept saying, Bob, you missed the 1. I'm like, oh, yeah. So it went all the way to track 32. I kept messing up. So they got Mudbone to come in and play drums on the track. So I got back in my car and drove back to Cincinnati. So the whole time I'm driving back to Cincinnati by myself, I'm like, I'm quitting the band. I got to quit the band. Frank Waddy was playing with a band called 400 Years of What? Around the corner from where we lived at. So I went around the corner and asked Frank, did he want to play with Bootsy? He was like, yeah, man, you don't want to play? And I'm like, nah, you going to play with him, man. I don't want to play with him. So I quit the band and started playing with the band Frank was with, 400 Years of What? But like I said, Frank ain't never recorded nothing. He never recorded nothing on Bootsy album. He never recorded nothing on George album. He only recorded one song. And everything he tell y'all about the pacemakers and the house guests, all them are lies. The only band he played with Bootsy was called The Complete Strangers. That was the only band Frank played with Bootsy and them with. Now, Bootsy was telling people, he would never tell nobody who I was. He would always say the other drummer. When they asked him about Catfish and him, he would always say the other drummer, right? And he would never mention me because he was trying to blackball me because I didn't want to play for him. Now, I'm on all his albums. I'm on this album. My name is on this album. You come to think of it, I recorded this whole album. I'm playing drums on this whole album. But he didn't know my name, right? I recorded this album with Bootsy.
Okay.
And he don't know my name. I recorded God Mama, the girl group that he was producing. And I started playing, yeah, I'm on that. My name is on that one. Now, he don't know my name, but when it came to people asking him who the drummer was, he didn't know my name. But I'm on all his albums. And the last time I went on tour with them, Who did I play with? I played with the Sweat Band, Maisie O. Parker. You know, that's who I was. I'm the drummer on Sweat Band. Me and Razor Johnson, me and David Sean, uh, 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 Mike Mitchell. Butch Small. Man, listen. Yeah, that's me. Look at that. My name on the back, but he don't know my name. Ain't that funny? That show you how people dog you out when you don't go along with their program. You know. And we still talk. Me and him and Patty. I mean, I was just up there for his birthday this year. I was just up in Cincinnati last year, I guess, for his birthday. And I got T-shirts. Wait a minute.
Well, because
I want you to see this.
oh yeah, put up a little higher. Yeah, there you go. I was nice.
And do you see the picture of the
So I had
band?
this.
Man, that's a complete stranger. That's the only band Frank Waddy played with, and that's the house guest right there. That's the picture of the house guest band. I hate to tell you this, but sometimes you can't believe everything somebody says or tell y'all. People tell lies, and then they tell lies because they don't want to give you credit. But I recorded a lot of stuff with James, man. I recorded everything. I re, I even recorded some. Let me think. Otis Redding did a TV show, and the drummer wasn't that strong on the TV show, so they had me to overdub some drum tracks like "Shout Balalama" and some other tracks he did on the TV show. I'm playing. I played with Gene Red. Gene Red was an A&R guy at King Records. I worked for Gene Red All Star Band when I wasn't playing with Bootsy and them. I hate to say that this cat. I mean, I like him, but he tell lies, and then he can't remember stuff.
Well, let me
He
let me
didn't.
let me ask you, Tiger. You mentioned about Catfish kind of going away a little bit, and at some point it seemed like Bootsy kind of took the lead, whereas Catfish used to have the lead. Why did that happen?
The truth, and when Cat had to go away for a while, George and Boosie had already been hooking up. See, when we first met George, we was in Detroit playing at Malia Franklin Mother Club. Malia Franklin was a singer in George Clinton group. Malia was going with the trumpet player in our band named Ronnie Greenway. Ronnie Greenway and Malia was going together. And Ronnie Greenway took care of all our businesses when it came to sign contracts and stuff. Ronnie Greenway read the contracts and made sure they was right and signed them. 'Cause he was the only one in the band at the time that had a college education. So he hooked up with Malia. Excuse me. So Malia told us that George Clinton, like he was looking for a band like us, and she wanted to take Ronnie to introduce him to George. So Ronnie Greenway went and met George Clinton, not Boosie. Boosie tell that lie that he went and met George Clinton. That wasn't the truth. Why would we let Boosie be the band leader when he was the youngest cat in the band? Why? That don't make no sense. I mean, common sense will tell you the oldest cats in the band was the one we believed in. Phelps was the oldest guy. Ronnie Greenway, he the only one had a college education, so we let him sign all the contracts for us when we played at clubs and stuff. Boosie wasn't in charge of nothing. Believe that. Only time we got in charge of something with him and George schemed and got the band called the Rubber Band. And they stole that name from a country band, and they had to pay them to keep the name, you know? So, I mean, and then like I said, if you think about it, who was in the band with Boosie from the old band? From the house guests, who was in the new Rubber Band?
Mudbone was one.
Nobody. Nobody.
Was it
Because he
Mudbone?
had cut everybody throats.
No, but wasn't Mudbone from in that?
No, Boosie got Mudbone from this group called, and Razor Johnson, he got them from this group called Madhouse out of Baltimore, Maryland.
Right.
That's where he got. And when Mudbone came and played with us, we was living on Kemper Lane in Cincinnati, and that's when I met That's when I really met Mudbone. And me and him still friends today. I talked to him yesterday, and he don't deal with Boosie. And him and Boosie was like this at one time. And then Boosie messed him around so bad, Mudbone don't even want to mess with him because that's how Boosie is.
Hmm.
I mean, seriously, I hate to put it out there like that, but sometimes when guys get power and get money, they whole thing change, you know. And that's what happened with Boosie. He ain't got no friends. He ain't got no friends. He ain't got nobody gonna play with him. He can't even get a band to play with him no more. So he just retired. You know, George still gigging,
Yes, he
and
is.
George got all his family members out there gigging, making money.
Well, Mudbone plays with George too now.
That's why he with George. And look at Peanut was with the Rubber Band. Peanut quit the Rubber Band and go with George Clinton. Ain't nobody playing with Boosie. Nobody. Even when Frank was playing with Boosie in the last couple of tours, Boosie, he dogged Frank out so bad. He had Frank walking up and down on the stage like he was a band director, and he had another cat playing drums. He didn't have Frank playing drums. Frank, like I said, Frank is a yes man. That's why George had him out there with him. That's why Boosie had him out there with him. Frank White is just a yes man. And like I said, he ain't show me some records that he for record. None.
So, did you play on any of the '70s Bootsy's Rubber Band stuff, or no?
I recorded all this stuff. I just showed you.
Right, that's
all
from
this.
the '90s, though, right?
And then I tell you this. One time I went out to his house and recorded like 8 drum tracks, and he put it on a DAP machine. And he used my drum tracks for a whole lot of recording. He didn't pay me for it. He would always tell me, "Yeah, Bob, when I get this deal over in Germany, I'm gonna pay you more money. Or when I get this deal over in London, I'm gonna pay you more." I never got no more money. And I mean, I'm still cool with him, but I don't mess with him like that no more. I consider us just friends. That's it. He asked me to do something for him, I might come and do it. But as far as play for him, nah. Don't nobody want to work with Boosie no more.
Well, who inspired you in your drum playing, Tiger?
My uncle, I had an uncle named John Green. They called him Jug, and he played jazz on the weekend. And I had to live with him and my aunt a while back when I was younger. And my uncle used to get drunk on the weekend and couldn't drive himself back home from the gig. So my aunt asked me to start going to the gigs with him and driving him back and forth. And one day I was sitting in the back of the club eating some tater chips and drinking a Pepsi Cola. That's the God truth. And I start seeing all the women dressed up and the guys in suits and everybody was having fun. And I like this. I like this atmosphere. So I asked my uncle to teach me how to play drums. And my uncle told me if I learned how to break his drums down and set them up, he would teach me. So that's how I learned first. Well, that's how I started learning. Then I started going around different places, different clubs, sneaking in clubs on the weekend, watching other drummers play, And then at nighttime, I used to listen to the Nashville radio stations, and they would always have the latest records in Nashville. And I would put the radio underneath my pillow and listen to them all night long and go to sleep listening to that. And then when I first started playing music, I started practicing with records. That's how I started learning how to play drums. I practiced with 45 records and 33 records. 45 records, I would slow them down to 33 speed so I could learn the beat. And then 33s, I would slow them down to 78 so I could learn the speeds on that. And then I would put them back to the regular speed and practice. And that's how I got good keeping my timing. Because I was a pocket drummer. I always been a pocket drummer. I mean, I played my ass off. I played stronger than Clyde because I was stronger than Clyde. I played better than Jabbo because I was funkier than Jabbo. But I didn't know what I was doing because I was self-taught. I didn't go to no school or I didn't go to no drum lessons or nothing like that. I taught myself how to play.
Are there any other drummers that we know of that you admired?
Oh, I like Dennis Chambers. He was one of my best friends. I like Mazio brother. I like Mazio brother, Melvin Parker. Me and Melvin Parker was like that, and I like this cat named Bo Dollar. He used to be in a band called the Daps at King Records, and they was an all white band, but they was bad. See, James wanted them to be his next band before he got us, but this guy named Bud Hopgood, that was James' manager or something, took the band over, and he died. And some kind of way, James didn't want to use them no more. But Bo Dollar was a bad drummer. I liked him. And who else? Oh, I loved Bernard Purdy.
Mm.
I went and played with Aretha Franklin. I met him a couple times. I even played with on the show with him a couple times. And him and Cornell Dupree and all them. I played with them a couple times. Yeah, I really like Bernard the way he played. You know, but mainly uh, I like Clyde. I like when I used to see Clyde in the studio playing. I used to like to see the way he played. But I got along with Melvin. Melvin, Amazio brother. He was real cool. They wasn't. They didn't act like they was on a pedestal or above everybody. They was real friendly and nice. Let me tell you why we quit James. After we was over in Europe, we had been in Europe for about 6 weeks, and James had told Catfish that he was going to be the band leader, and we was going because we wanted to we wanted to take control of the music that we played on. Because when we started the show, the band played a couple of songs before James and them came out, and then this is how the show went. The band would play, and we would play so many songs, and then James would come out and do a short, quick show and go back in. And then Bobby Bird, Vicki Anderson, or Marva Whitney, and Clay Tyson would come out in between the shows, and we would play behind them, right? And then James would come back out. But the main thing was that James, I don't know how he was thinking, because he made after Dave Matthews quit the band and stopped being the band leader, the dude that had the long beard and the hair, when he was over in Europe, he was a band leader. But he told Catfish he was going to be the band leader. So when we was at the Copacabana in New York playing, after we came back from Europe, we had 2 weeks there. The first week he told us that Fred Wesley was going to be the band leader. So we quit. Me, Bootsy, and Catfish, and the chick, and Clayton Gunner, we quit. So he told us to bring our uniforms to the hotel. He was staying at the Americana somewhere, and we were staying at the Gorham Hotel. We went to the Americana with our uniform, and he had money piled up on his bed this high. I mean, for real, he had money piled up on his bed that high. He told us to drop our uniforms on the floor, and Mr. Barber gave us our envelope with our money. And he didn't say 2 words to us, and we just left. And then we came back to Cincinnati, and we did an interview on this radio station talking about James Brown. We're talking about how bad he treated people, how bad the money was. He was taking $105 out of our paycheck every week, telling us this for taxes. Come to find out, but he didn't pay no taxes. That's how they took all his money when they busted him, right? So anyway, James taking our money. So we went on a radio show and talked about him. I mean, for real, we talked about him for about 2 hours. His people, and we was in Cincinnati, he had his office in Cincinnati. The next song he came out with was The Big Payback. And The Big Payback was about us. If you listen to the lyrics of The Big Payback, it was all about us. Bootsy had been messing with Marva Whitney. If James found out about that, that's why him and Marva fell out, and he got rid of Marva. Marva liked Bootsy, and Bootsy liked Marva, and something was going on with them while we was on the road. I don't know what. And then we talked about the money. He didn't like that. And then we quit in between 2 weeks of a show, so we messed up his money. He talked about that, messing with his money. If you listen to The Payback, he's talking about us.
That's very, very interesting. I like that track though. That's for sure. Were you
Yeah,
on? Were you on this one?
I don't know, because James had a lot of recording. He kept a lot of recordings on it, and he never did put all our names on everything.
Because the JB's Catfish is on here.
Well, if Catfish on there, I'm on there.
1970.
If anything Bootsy and Catfish recorded, I recorded. Why would I not be on the recording and I'm the drummer with them?
Yeah, I figured you might be on
You
this
know,
one too.
you know what I'm saying? So why wouldn't I be on all the recording with them if I was the drummer with them in the beginning?
Yeah.
So that's sort of crazy. But Bootsy was mad at me because I didn't want to play with him no more. When Cat wasn't in the band, I didn't want to play in the band because it was just funny. It had a funny feeling to me, and Bootsy wasn't. I don't know. He wasn't. I didn't really like Bootsy that much. I love Catfish.
I've met, it was a long time ago, but I've met Bootsy. I never got to meet Catfish. What was his personality like?
Cat was a country boy. He was from Kentucky. They were really Bootsy and his mama and them were originally from Lexington, Kentucky, before they moved to Cincinnati. Cat was real friendly. We used to go fishing all together. This is how the band got real tight. Me, Bootsy, Catfish, and Chicken. We used to all go fishing together. We rehearsed every day. We didn't have no jobs, so we rehearsed every day. Only time we made some money when we playing the weekends at nightclubs before we even got with King Records. And then when we got with Charles Sperling, that's when we started traveling and doing chitlin gigs and stuff. And we never left Cincinnati until we got with Charles Sperling. And then Charles Sperling had this guy named Artie Sherman play organ, and his wife named Peggy Sherman sang in the group, and we all toured together. But we was cool. I mean, we were so tight you couldn't even cut it with a butter knife. I mean, that's how tight our rhythm section was. And I mean, Catfish taught Bootsy how to play bass better, and Bootsy learned. I mean, he wanted to be just like his brother. He really did. I mean, and you can see that he loved Catfish. He idoled Catfish. You can really tell that. And his mama, Miss Collins, that's all they had was her and their sister Brenda. I used to live with them cats, man. They had a dog named Champ. They had their mama, Miss Collins, their sister Brenda, their nephew Greg, Catfish, and Bootsy. I used to live with them cats. That's how tight we was. I lived in 3 houses they lived in with them. And then we lived on Kemper Lane together. We all lived in separate apartments. Bootsy and his mama and Brenda lived in one apartment. Catfish and his wife lived in another apartment. And me and this girl from Panama lived in another apartment upstairs. So, and we rehearsed every day in his mama's basement. Every day we rehearsed. That's why we were so tight.
I was too young to ever see the JBs, but I did see Bootsy's Rubber Band in 1978, and that band was super tight.
Oh, they was bad. I mean, they was part of the other band. I mean, he had Mazio, he had Fred Wesley, he had Kush, he had other trumpet player, Rick, and then he had Peanut, he had Mudbone, he had Catfish playing guitar, he had Frank playing drums. I mean, the band was tight.
And Razor, yeah.
Catfish and Bootsy was like this. They were brothers. So their rhythm section was killer. All Frank had to do was hold a pocket. That's all he had to do was hold a pocket. And a lot of times he didn't hold a pocket like he was supposed to. So that's why they got rid of Frank and had other guys playing drums instead of Frank. I mean, seriously. That's why he started a new rubber band. So he got rid of all the old rubber band members and started new guys. And I was supposed to be in the new rubber band, but I didn't want to play with them.